The Adventures of Buster Bear by Thornton W. Burgess. Chapter 13. Farmer Brown's Boy and Buster Bear Meet. If you should meet with Buster Bear while walking through the wood, what would you do? Now tell me true. I'd run the best I could. That is what Farmer Brown's boy did when he met Buster Bear, and a lot of the little people of the Green Forest and some from the Green Meadow saw him. When Farmer Brown's boy came hurrying home from the Laughing Brook without any fish one day and told about the great footprint he had seen in a muddy place on the bank deep in the Green Forest, and had said his was sure that it was the footprint of a bear, he had been laughed at. Farmer Brown had laughed and laughed. "Why," said he, "there hasn't been a bear in the great forest for years and years and years. Not since my own grandfather was a little boy. And that, you know, was a long, long, long time ago. If you want to find Mr. Bear, you will have to go to the great woods. I don't know who made that footprint, but it certainly couldn't have been a bear. I think you must have imagined it." Then he had laughed some more, all of which goes to show how easy it is to be mistaken and how foolish it is to laugh at things you really don't know about. Buster Bear had come to live in the Green Forest, and Farmer Brown's boy had seen his footprint. But Farmer Brown laughed so much and made fun of him so much that at last his boy began to think that he must have been mistaken after all. So when he heard Blacky the Crow and Sammy Jay making a great fuss near the edge of the Green Forest, he never once thought of Buster Bear as he started over to see what was going on. When Blacky and Sammy saw him coming, they moved a little farther into the Green Forest, still screaming in the most excited way. They felt sure that Farmer Brown's boy would follow them, and they meant to lead him to where Sammy had seen Buster Bear that morning. Then they would find out for sure if what Little Joe Otter had said was true, that Farmer Brown's boy really was afraid of Buster Bear. Now all around, behind trees and stumps and under thick branches and even in treetops, were other little people watching with round, wide-open eyes to see what would happen. It was very exciting. The most exciting thing they could remember. You see, they had come to believe that Farmer Brown's boy wasn't afraid of anybody or anything, as most of them were very much afraid of him. They had hard work to believe that he would really be afraid of even such a great big, strong fellow as Buster Bear. Everyone was so busy watching Farmer Brown's boy that no one saw Buster coming from the other direction. You see, Buster walked very softly. Big as he is, he can walk without making the teeniest, weeniest sound. And that is how it happened that no one saw him or heard him until just as Farmer Brown's boy stepped out from behind one side of a thick little hemlock tree. Buster Bear stepped out from behind the other side of that same little tree, and there they were, face to face. Then everybody held their breath, even Blacky the Crow and Sammy Jay. For just a little minute it was so still there in the Green Forest that not the least little sound could be heard. What was going to happen? The end. The Adventures of Buster Bear by Thornton W. Burgess. Chapter 14. A surprising thing happens. Blacky the Crow and Sammy Jay, looking down from the top of a tall tree, held their breath. Happy Jack the Gray Squirrel and his cousin Chatterer the Red Squirrel, looking down from another tree, held their breath. Unc Billy Possum, sticking his head out from a hollow tree, held his breath. Bobby Coon, looking through a hole in a hollow stump in which he was hiding held his breath. Reddy Fox, lying flat down behind a heap of brush, held his breath. Peter Rabbit, sitting bolt upright under a thick hemlock branch, with eyes and ears wide open, held his breath. And all the other little people who happened to be where they could see did the same thing. You see, it was the most exciting moment ever was in the Green Forest. Farmer Brown's boy had just stepped out from behind one side of a little hemlock tree, and Buster Bear had just stepped out from behind the opposite side of the little hemlock tree, and neither had known that the other was anywhere near. For a whole minute, they stood there face to face, looking into each other's eyes, while everybody watched and waited, and it seemed as if the whole Green Forest was holding its breath. Then something happened. Yes, sir, something happened. Farmer Brown's boy opened his mouth and yelled. It was such a sudden yell and such a loud yell that it startled Chatterer, so that he nearly fell from his place in the tree, and it made Reddy Fox jump to his feet ready to run. And that yell was a yell of fright. There was no doubt about it, for with the yell, Farmer Brown's boy turned and ran for home, and no one ever had seen him run before. He ran just as Peter Rabbit runs when he has got to reach the dear old briar patch before Reddy Fox can catch him, which you know is as fast as he can run. Once he stumbled and fell, but he scrambled to his feet in a twinkling, and away he went, without once turning his head to see if Buster Bear was after him. There wasn't any doubt that he was afraid, very much afraid. Everybody leaned forward to watch him. What did I tell you? Didn't I say he was afraid of Buster Bear? Cried Little Joe Otter, dancing about with excitement. You were right, Little Joe. I'm sorry that I doubted you. See him go. Caw, 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 shrieked Blacky the Crow. For a minute or two, everybody forgot about Buster Bear. Then there was a great crash which made everybody turn to look the other way. What do you think they saw? Why, it was Buster Bear. Buster Bear was running away too. He was running twice as fast as Farmer Brown's boy. He bumped into the trees and crashed through the bushes and jumped over logs, and in almost no time at all he was out of sight. Altogether, it was the most surprising thing that the little people of the Green Forest had ever seen. Buster Bear was running away too. Sammy Jay looked at Blacky the Crow, and Blacky looked at Chatterer, and Chatterer looked at Happy Jack, and Happy Jack looked at Peter Rabbit, and Peter Rabbit looked at Unc' Billy Possum, and Unc' Billy looked at Bobby Coon, and Bobby looked at Johnny Chuck, and Johnny looked at Reddy Fox, and Reddy looked at Jimmy Skunk, and Jimmy looked at Billy Mink, and Billy looked at Little Joe Otter, and for a minute nobody could say a word. Then Little Joe gave a funny little gasp. Why, said he. I believe Buster Bear is afraid too, Unc' Billy Possum chuckled. I believe you are right again, Brer Otter said he. It certainly does look so. If Brer Bear isn't scared, he must have remembered something important and has gone to attend to it in a powerful hurry. Then everybody began to laugh. The end.